Hi, hello. We have a new chapter of Kaiji. This one is 330. It's called Blind Angle. And I think this might be the first real clue we have as to how Kaiji is going to switch up the deposits so that he's not recognized again. I think. I don't know what else blind angle could refer to unless it's kind of like a more of a metaphorical thing as possible. The landline phone at the Kaiji Mancon headquarters. The modular cable has been removed, severing the connection. What? we're giving up? They're actually taking down the call-in project? Cell phones he employs too are wrapped up in towel and hidden within a drawer in a desperation measure. Endo, sick with telephone neurosis, is able to calm down for a moment. So it's come to this. I like Fukumoto's attention to detail. I think maybe this is just a modified photograph, I'm not sure, of the phone. But yeah, I don't know. Something about the phone's also wrapped up in a towel and put within a drawer. Not just turned off, but you can tell this was done in maybe some haste, that Endo just suddenly had enough. What's going on? We get call after call after call, but they're all fake. I haven't got a single hit out of all of them. What does that mean? All right, so this really is the question, right? This is the question that slowly began to emerge throughout the last chapter. It makes sense that there's tons and tons of false positives, but there's nothing saying the system shouldn't work to catch real positives. So either the Asian trio isn't making deposits anymore, which I doubt, because they have every reason to want to consolidate their wealth, or they have some new angle, some new blind angle perhaps, that allows them to sneak by totally undetected, even though we know that the debtors are super trigger happy and are calling in anybody with just kind of shaggy long hair, anybody who looks Chinese, anything. Ooh, the Zawas are filling the air. You gotta imagine this meeting room, up until Endo decided to pull the plug quite literally on this whole thing, had been non-stop calls, non-stop chatter, and now in this silence of failure, others aren't really looking so well. They're just jumping on the first suspect they see and reporting them right away. Other reports coming in, but they're not exactly scrutinizing that thoroughly. The amount of reports is a fact. Even if they're all false reports, the fact that we're getting this many reports has to mean, even now, all those debtors are going into banks, looking at the people around them, and finding people they think look suspicious. Yeah. So this should be working. Haven't had a single real report. What does this mean is happening? And of course, there was a much lower level of surveillance when the first report came in. That was before they had committed debtors calling in all the time. And they still had one real report. So obviously that was good enough. Even though that guy was a numbskull, in Endo's opinion, that was good enough. By the way, I didn't think about this until right now, but that guy's plotline was kind of just like incidentally resolved, almost totally off screen. Remember, he had all of these money woes, and he was splitting from his wife, and he needed some way to kind of have secret income that she didn't know about, that couldn't get tied up in alimony. And it actually just completely fell into his lap. Endo tossed him $1,000. That should probably do it, or at least a good way to get started. So that poor guy, it's kind of funny to me. This is a weird kind of method of storytelling that feels very distinctly Fukumoto-ish, where we introduce all of this backstory. We're not really sure what it's going to lead to. Of course, I had my own theories and stuff about the card going to Kaiji's mom's place and stuff, but it was more just kind of flavor, I guess. But then, the later developments of this character, even though it never went back to these original character details, and it probably never will at this point, we still kind of see what happens. We see the resolution of it just from the fact that he got all this money. We can work backwards and think about what he must be doing now. Okay, so the black suits are flummoxed. What does this mean? Might just be that those guys have stopped going altogether. This, of course, is a pretty sensible response. Kaiji's playing this completely cautiously. The very first time he gets recognized, that's it. We'll come up with a different plan. No more bank. She saw his own wanted bulletin at the bank in Ibaraki. You'd have to know it was pretty bad news. So I guess Endo has inferred that this happened. Probably because the guy admitted, oh, I dropped my wallet. That guy, I think, was Kaiji, helped me pick up some stuff. And yes, this flyer was in the wallet. That means banks are a dangerous place to be. Kept going with his deposit operation. His capture would be inevitable. That's the way he might have thought about it. Okay. And if that's the case, it's just GG. They're back to totally, absolutely square one. Just gave up on it, though, consolidating his cash. Oh, buying gold. No, Kaiji's never going to do that. That's such an illiquid asset. There's no way to just quickly turn your gold back into money. It looks just as suspicious. It's like a little more hideable, of course, because it's much smaller. Sorry. But if you're ever caught with it, that's still bad. It's still at risk of just being stolen, where the bank gives you some recourse. The money's still in your name, even if your bank card is stolen. Wrong, all wrong. This very slightly angled narration seems to be a little delighting in just how far off the base Endo is. But I think they're still depositing. Kaiji just has this variant. Kaiji has a new way to make this safe. Endo is off the mark again. There's a reasoning, a conjecture that does not align with the actual reality of Kaiji's situation. A revelation by the director Endo that will cause nothing but harm. Kaiji and his friends wouldn't know where to buy gold in the first place. Yeah. Instead of doing like anything like that, Kaiji and the team really continued on with their bank deposits just as before, except... Okay, so what's the variation? Because so far it looks the same. Kaiji's in disguise. He's got his face mask, his toque, his sunglasses. He's heading to what, to me, just looks like another normal bank. It's like something Northern Ginko Bank. I don't know what this first one means here. Their method of doing it changed. What does this mean? Okay, so he's going into the bank like normal. As far as we know, any one of these people could be Tei debtors, right? To me, it looks like something has already been compromised. Any of these people could be Tei debtors. Any of these people, as soon as Kaiji walks in, could whip out their cell phone and be like, all right, I'm pretty sure this time. I know the last 5 times it was off, but this guy really looks like Kaiji. Because they now knew about the existence of that heartless wanted flyer, Kaiji's group passed right on through the first floor. Okay, past the cash dispenser that men and women of all ages use, past the teller windows where wire transfers and tax payments occurred. What's left? Another set of tellers? Seems like if there was another set of tellers, people are waiting on the first floor to see a teller. Some of those people, including possible Tei debtors, would be like, oh, I'll just go to the second floor tellers, because I don't want to wait in line. Right? So it's not just like more tellers. What the heck? They ignored the entire first floor where all of this commotion took place and went straight to floor 2. Their new plan was to go right for the second floor instead. From the start, the weak part of their bank depositing operation was that around 30 minutes would have to pass between the time they got to the counter, the time the bank had their passbooks ready. And while this procedure was going on, Kaiji, Chang, and Mario would have to stand by on the couch in front of the counter without a thing to do, just sitting and waiting defenseless, nonchalantly awaiting the completion of their deposit for 30 minutes with their faces covered. And this is, of course, what gave the other guy ample time to identify Kaiji. course, the fact that the teller ended up shouting Kaiji's name helped a little bit. I don't know if he would have gotten it there otherwise, but alright, alright. So they're trying to eliminate this time. Like, what could be upstairs that would alleviate this? It's dangerous. Even if nobody can see them clearly, if they're suspected by any nearby debtors, they can report them just in case. Have Tei rush to the scene and capture them. Okay, so this is another key part. Is that the debtor isn't going to do anything on their own. In fact, the flyer very specifically says don't try to apprehend them on your own, which was very wise on Tei's part. You know, if they hadn't put that, I'm sure that all of these debtors, the first thing they would do would be like bear hug the Kaiji, the suspect, hang on for dear life, try to call on the phone while, and then these of course are just totally innocent strangers, and Tei is responsible for assaults across the nation. So it's a good thing they made sure to do that. So now it's like they report them, the debtor calls into Tei, it takes however long for the nearby Tei office to dispatch some black suits to go check it out, and this is another, of course, major risk factor of the 30-minute waiting period is that they're still going to be there. They're still just going to be hanging out, whereas otherwise, this alleviates things somehow. They can just slip right out again. And even if they are reported, they're just way out in the street. And what is Tei going to do? It's not like they can say, your report of some guy that just left before we got here is certainly credible. I'm sure it was Kaiji. This gives us new information. No, it's just the same as any other report of some guy that looks like Kaiji. Plausibility is well within reason, and so the second floor. They carry out the process on the second floor. So what is the second floor? Like, I don't know Japanese banks. Do they always have a second floor? Is it like Poke Centers from Gen 3 onwards? Perhaps Gen 4 onwards? Where there's generally a second floor, but maybe there's some branches that don't have it. Specifically, they are, of course, now going to branches with second floor, which I guess universally have some sort of function or quality or something. I don't know. Of course, even if they do it on the second floor, they have to wait in the chairs in the middle of the room. That time still certainly does exist. Once they're called up to the teller window, there will be a chair for them there as well, meaning there are many times when they're able to carry out the procedure there without needing to move. This means it can be carried out without needing to return to the central area where people can see them. So it is just more tellers? I guess this is more the like one-on-one, sit down, let's have a conversation about your finances type thing. I have been to things like this before, you know, the bank I use, it's not 2 floors, but there'll be like offices just kind of around the perimeter of the bank. And then if you have like a very elaborate type request, something you really want to discuss, or something where you have to sign a lot of forms and stuff, there's a lot of kind of proceedings to it, you'll make an appointment either beforehand or with the bank's reception to go into one of these rooms. Usually there's like someone who's like assigned to your account specifically. You'll meet with them every time, ideally. I guess it's like that kind of thing. And since Kaiji is setting up a new account and depositing a bunch of money, I think that more than qualifies. It more than justifies the use of the second floor and this second wave of staff. Whereas if you're just doing a normal interaction, I guess this is why they wouldn't just go upstairs and try to save themselves the wait. It's troublesome problems with Tei. The people who've taken out debts do not go to the second floor. Practically non-existent. The second floor is mostly for residential loans, financing for business enterprise. Makes sense. Besides that, fixed-term deposits, foreign currency deposits, handling of business funding, and so on. Almost goes without saying with the kind of people who go into debt. Oh, look at this pachinko player. This is the face of a total pachinko animal. What kind of Fukumoto-esque adventure is he living out in his life? Starts with losing all his money in the pachinko machine, falling into debt with Tei. A miracle chance occurs. If I find this Kaiji guy, I'm set for life. And so, teaming up with a wise but somewhat reserved elder gentleman who also frequents the pachinko parlor, they set off A quest to catch Kaiji. I'd read it. If it's Fukumoto involved, I'll read it. I have no connection to that world. Boy, howdy, I tell you, miss, after saving up all my pachinko winnings little by little, bit by bit, at a time, I finally saved up for the first down payment on my dream home. Congratulations, sir. America. Alright. And of course, yeah, they want income. They want someone with a job. They don't want to be giving loans just on someone who can make the down payment on a house. Alright. So all of this makes sense. First rate pachinko player. That's his credit. Remember, what was it called? Rude 17? Rude 37? Something like that? A Fukumoto manga about a pachinko player who's like a real pro. He meets up with this girl, they have some adventures, he like kind of cultivates a pachinko team that ends up in some turf war and stuff. It's all very classy, you know, the main character is very kind of suave, Akagi type, not so much the Kaiji always screaming your head off type. But it's like, you know, it's pachinko. It's supposed to be luck. I mean, the manga teaches you that there's a few things you can do to kind of give yourself a bit of an incremental advantage and put the odds perhaps slightly in your favor, but really it should just be luck. And so this guy, this poor guy who just wants his dream house, really what separates him from the... I think the guy's name was Rude, actually, and the series was named after him, but maybe that doesn't seem right. Anyways, what's the difference between these two people? You should go read that series if you don't know, but it's kind of fun. You learn a lot about pachinko. Even if a miracle happened, it would collapse right away. That's why this sort of person has nothing to do with the financing window. Fixed term deposits? If they had the kind of money for that, they'd pay back their debt first. Wait, that's pretty good. That's like pretty solid logic, right? Why would they be depositing money at all when it should just be going back into their debt until they pay off the debt? There's no way for them to actually accumulate any sort of wealth. Yeah. So, yeah, almost by definition, these debtors aren't going to be here. They're not going to be on the second floor. So foreign currency deposits, that makes no sense at all. They don't have any yen in front of them. What good would be turning next to none of it into dollar bills? Ooh, look at those Benjis. A swirl of Ben Franklins. It's for this reason that they all ignore it. Debtors of Tei loans, those infected with the virus known as debt, do not so much as bother trying to climb the stairs leading to the bank's second floor. As a result, the second floor is a sterilized zone. A sterile zone, a sterilized room. The virus wafts through the air like mad on the first floor, but the second floor is safe. Nigh completely safe. Seems simple. And I suppose because they've been doing this in secret, even though this whole Tei phone network is in place, I assume that this is just working and is going to continue to work, and this is just like the solution, okay? So, alright, sure. Except the thing is, like, is this not still fraught with danger? There's still the time passing through the first floor. There's all these eagle-eye Tei debtors. That's enough time for them to at least freak out, hop on the phone, and say, oh, they're heading upstairs. And all it takes is one person to make this report, and a whole wave of debtors is probably going to start checking the second floor just in case, right? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know. So this is just that they have to make fixed term deposits, I suppose, because that justifies being on the second floor. If they just set up a regular account, maybe they'd be told to go back down to the first floor. And we've already discussed the various problems with the fixed term deposits, but it's better than nothing. Except with 100,000 yen, they create a fixed term deposit account with 100,000 yen that will terminate after 1 month. After that 1 month end, it will transform into a normal account like any other. Oh, okay. After that, they go forward with their true aim of making a 20 million yen normal deposit passport. By doing this, throw away 100,000 yen deposit notwithstanding. Ah! So they make this one account just to justify being on the second floor and going to that. And then they're like, oh, hey, by the way, I want to put 2 mil in a normal account. And of course, the teller is very confused. She's like, none of this makes any sense. I think you have these backwards. But what they learned very early on in these bank adventures is that the tellers don't care. The tellers have never once asked for their backstory. Tellers don't really care where this money is coming from or what you're doing with it, as long as it's something that makes the bank money. And assuming the money is going into the bank such that the bank can invest it in loans and everything else, then the bank is making money. So they're happy. Everybody's happy. The only thing they have to be a little mindful of is when they're leaving the bank. Nobody recognizes them and follows them out. Just make sure that doesn't happen. That is essential. Okay, and that's it. So this is the new money depositing plan. I feel like after we've had a couple anxieties, a couple little adventures, a couple developments, this should kind of just take care of it. Like, this is just going to work for the rest of their money, is my guess. I'd be a little surprised if there was like a further complication at this point. An easy win. No, I think it's just an easy win. They did it. Kaiji and his friends are gradually, consistently moving along with their cash compression and passport creating procedure. It has been smooth sailing so far. Their future looks bright. Hey! All right. Good for them. I'm happy. Slowly, they are turning their wealth into something much more manageable, much more usable. And after this, what's left? Like, okay, so we can kind of discuss this right now. What hurdles do they have left? The goal is Chang and Mario returning to their original countries with a whole lot of wealth, and Kaiji just effing off somewhere where he can live in peace. That to me is the happy ending of not just this arc, but perhaps the entire series. And I'm sure things will go wrong before then, but we can kind of try to figure out what they might be. So they've got all of this money in various accounts. Some of them, I assume, do international banking. So Chang and Mario will be able to go back to China and the Philippines, go to some international teller there, and withdraw their money in their own currency from the Japanese banks, right? But I assume all of these obscure random ass banks where they're spamming accounts won't offer that. So there's going to be another stage of consolidation into accounts that are accessible from the home countries, I would imagine. That to me does not sound like an exciting arc, but who knows. Then there's the actual leaving the country. But the thing is, like, Tei can't really guard against that. It's not like they can just watch every single flight to China and the Philippines all the time, and they can just go whenever, right? So, I don't know. It kind of seems like smooth sailing from here on. Like, what else? What else is gonna go wrong? What more do they need to do? I don't know. We'll find out. On the other hand, Endo is still sick. They're trying to now think about gold exchanges with kind of the same mentality that Kaiji's going to have to go to a whole bunch of them in order to whittle through all of his cash into gold. Oh boy. Poor Endo. He's gonna strike back though. We still have some adventures left, I'm sure. But I don't know, it kind of feels like what else is there? I'm trying to think of other obstacles in their way, but I don't know. Kind of seems like this is it. Right? I don't know. Okay, we'll find out.